everybody and welcome back to Bring Your Own Popcorn, and welcome to day number 10 of the 12 Days of Christmas, where I watch and review a Christmas film that I have never seen before. And in today's episode I will be watching and reviewing The Santa Claus. Now this is a film that I do know quite a lot about, and I have seen snippets of this movie before. It's one of those films that always comes on TV around this time of year, but I just never sat down and watched it from start to finish. I've only seen like little bits from throughout the movie. And I also know that it's a lot of people's one of their favourite Christmas films. Like one of the films that they have to watch every Christmas. Like it's almost become like a tradition to watch this film for some people. So that's another reason why I really want to check it out. But yeah, in terms of plot, I'm not really expecting a lot of things to surprise me. I know that basically Santa dies by falling off a roof, and Tim Allen's character like accidentally signs a contract in which he needs to become the next Santa Claus. It's almost kind of similar to, well, I guess, I was going to say it's similar to Bruce Almighty, but I guess Bruce Almighty's similar to this, because Bruce Almighty came after. But it's the same kind of story, except instead of becoming God, he becomes Santa Claus. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about this one. It gets good reviews. I've never actually heard anyone say anything negative about this film, really. Like, nothing really stands out in terms of people going, oh, this film's terrible. So I'm excited for this one. So without further ado, let's crack on and watch The Santa Claus. Okay, so I've just got ready to watch The Santa Claus, and one thing that I didn't know is how many sequels this movie has. I thought it was just the first one, and I knew this new series on Disney Plus came out, but I didn't know they had these two films in the middle, which are interesting. I might check them out another time, but for now, let's watch The Santa Claus. A bizarre twist of fate transforms a divorced dad into the new Santa. That is exactly what I expected from the description. Yeah, pretty excited to watch this one, so let's crack on and watch The Santa Claus.
How could I have done this without you, Charlie?
You couldn't.
Walt Disney presents a timeless tale that will warm your heart,
I love you, Santa Claus.
I love you, son.
lift your spirits, and make you believe.
You really are Santa Claus.
Pretty cool, huh?
Share the merriment and the magic.
Seeing isn't believing. Believing is seeing.
Tim Allen,
Santa?
The Santa Claus.
Okay, so I just got done watching The Santa Claus for the first time, and whilst I didn't love this as much as some people do, some people consider this one of the greatest Christmas films of all time, I wouldn't personally put it up there. But I thought this was a fun little film that was full of festive cheer and humour and heart. The premise of the film was actually really interesting and was executed well for the most part. I didn't think the film did anything particularly stand out, but for what it was a fun little time. The whole concept that Santa Claus is merely a role played by someone, and that this role is handed down from generation to generation or from person to person, isn't anything new. It is a concept that has been around for absolutely years, but this film does try to do some new things with it, unlike Arthur Christmas. I will say the whole wordplay with The Santa Claus is absolutely genius, and I wouldn't be surprised if the whole film was written around this wordplay. Like, they came up with the title for the movie and they wrote the full film around it, because the wordplay is honestly genius. Some unanswered questions that we have about Santa are answered here, and they are answered in a really nice way. For example, how Santa gets down chimneys if you don't have a chimney. Like, that is answered really nicely and really imaginatively. I really like the journey that the main character goes on, realising that he will have to take on the responsibility of the role of Santa Claus. It's the classic don't be grumpy at Christmas message at the end of the day that the film tries to present, and that message has been done to death in numerous Christmas films, but this film plays it a little bit more subtly than most do. Most Christmas films force this message down the audience's throats, but it's handled really well here, to the point where it actually feels slightly fresh. The film is chock full of wonderful humour, with some great slapstick and some hilarious one-liners that are masterfully delivered by Tim Allen. However, when the film wants to be emotional, it also pulls that off too, with ease. Even though I did like the script, there were some aspects that I wasn't too fond of. I hate how quickly this film kills Santa off, the first Santa anyway that we see in the movie. I hate how quickly this film kills him off. I can imagine that would actually be quite shocking to some children. It also doesn't make any sense that a man as skilled at what he does would die simply by slipping and falling off a roof. Like, that just makes zero sense to me. The film also doesn't delve into the whole Santa Claus aspect enough for me. I'm talking about the contract bit. All that stuff was really interesting, but it just doesn't delve into it enough for me. Delving into this concept in a little bit more detail would have been really cool, but it really does just seem to skim the surface to the point where you think that the writers have came up with this cool concept and then failed to elaborate on it, so just chose not to. Maybe I'm looking a little bit too much into this, because for what it was, the film was a fun time, and I thought the script was pretty good. Direction-wise, it was a bit of a mixed bag. In terms of how the film was shot and stuff, I fairly liked it. It was beautifully coloured, capturing Christmas how it should be captured. All the set designs were absolutely gorgeous, especially the stuff in the North Pole. All that stuff looked amazing, and it just looked incredibly imaginative, and I absolutely loved that. Costume and character designs were really beautiful too. It's honestly just the special effects that really let this film down in terms of direction. They look bad, and when I say bad, I mean really, really awful. There were a couple of nice practical effects. For example, the reindeer looked fairly good whenever it was a practical effect. But in terms of whenever the film tries anything to do with CGI, it comes across as crappy and frankly quite lazy, and also quite cheap. If the effects were just handled with a bit more care, in all honesty, they looked so, it's just so crappy and so campy, and just they didn't look great at all. But if the effects were handled better, the direction would have been a lot better for me. Performance wise, everyone here was pretty good. Tim Allen is wonderful as the lead Scott. He is absolutely hilarious. He really is a great comedic talent, and he really aces all the one-liners that the film gives him. But he also aces the emotional moments too, proving that he is actually a really good emotional actor. He also manages to play a really believable Santa Claus towards the end of the film, which I was really surprised at. He was truly believable as Santa. Eric Lloyd was great as Charlie. He's a great little kid actor, and he gives a really fun little performance. David Krumholtz was also fantastic as Bernard. He was easily the best character of the film for me. Well, at least my favourite character of the film. He was just really cool. He really gave me, oh, what's the guy's name? The kid out of Hook. Do you know the really cool kid in Hook? He gave me those kind of vibes, and I loved the way that Krumholtz handled the role. I thought the supporting cast were all pretty good too and handled their parts well. Overall, whilst The Santa Claus wasn't one of my favourite Christmas films personally, I still got a lot of fun out of it. It was imaginative, funny, and full of heart, which are three things that you really want from a Christmas movie. Whilst it doesn't delve into some of the concepts deep enough for me, and some of the effects look incredibly lazy, this one still gets my recommendation, and I would like to give The Santa Claus a 7 out of 10. But that's just my thoughts. Please let me know down in the comments what you think of The Santa Claus. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you think it's just okay? I love to read your comments, and I try and respond to every single one of them. Please join me back here tomorrow for day 11. I'm running out of fingers to do this. Day 11 of the 12 Days of Christmas, where I'll be watching for the first time and reviewing Love Hard. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, all that jazz, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.